In the past week or so, OpenAI might have just taken a wrecking ball to the internet as we know it. If what they're dishing up lands, Apple's App Store, Google Search, even YouTube's content mode, all of this and much more could get sidelined. At Dev Day 2025, Sam Altman didn't just show new features, he showed a blueprint, apps that live inside ChatGPT, drag and drop job agents, a wearable that never turns off, and of course Sora 2, the part that turns content from a one-way artifact into a live conversation. I think that the big picture vision that's lurking behind the scenes is bold and massively disruptive, moving from broadcast through narrowcast to unicast, a personalized internet where no two people see the same thing. That is of course very exciting and more than a little terrifying. Let's take a look. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. Before we discuss OpenAI itself, do you find the pace of AI more than a bit scary? Well, I have a solution to that. As the spooky season creeps in, there's a new kind of fear keeping people up at night, the fear of being replaced by AI. In fact, 71% of people believe artificial intelligence will permanently replace their jobs. But here's the good news. You can turn that fear into opportunity. That's why I've partnered with Outskill, the world's first AI-focused education platform, to help you future-proof your career. Outskill is hosting a 2-day AI Mastermind workshop this Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, both days. More than 10 million people around the world have already attended this training, and many of them have gone on to build no-code AI businesses, generating thousands in revenue every month. This workshop is rated 4.9 out of 5 on Trustpilot and normally costs $395. But because I've partnered with Outskill, you can grab one of 1,000 free seats available for the next 48 hours as part of their Halloween special. And this isn't theory. It's fully hands-on training from people at Microsoft and NVIDIA, the same folks helping shape the AI industry right now. In just 2 days, you'll learn more than 10 powerful AI tools, how to use AI inside Excel, Sheets, and presentations, how to build AI agents, automate your workflow, and much more. You'll also get access to a private learning dashboard and a community where you can collaborate with like-minded people. Plus, if you attend both days, you'll walk away with over $5,000 in bonuses, including a prompt Bible, a roadmap to monetize AI, and a personalized AI toolkit builder. My team and I will be there, and I'd love to see you too. Seats are limited, so grab your free spot right now using the link at the top of the description or in the pinned comment. A big thanks to Outskill for sponsoring today's video. Don't let the fear of AI hold you back. Instead, let it be your launch pad. Join me at the Outskill Mastermind this weekend, and now let's get back to it. Alrighty, let's get into what OpenAI actually announced and why it might quietly replace the old internet that we're used to. So the first clue to OpenAI's vision is the Apps SDK that they released last week. With that, developers can now build apps that embed directly inside ChatGPT conversations. So what that means is that apps no longer kind of live on their own. In other words, you wouldn't have to go to your phone and go to the Zillow app or the Spotify app or the Canva app. And yes, all three of those are part of the launch announcement that OpenAI made. Anyway, you don't have to go to your phone and open up that app or go to your desktop or go to your web browser and open that app anymore. The vision OpenAI is setting out with this SDK is that you would go to ChatGPT, and within ChatGPT, these apps and many, many more eventually will live inside there. And what that means is that these embedded apps can just appear automatically when they're relevant. No browser, no tab, no go to this site, no open this app, none of that kind of thing. If you're talking to ChatGPT and you're like, hey, what was that song with the lead singer that died in the early 1970s and a traffic accident? And it was like, yeah, it was the Allman Brothers. And you're like, oh yeah. And what was that song that had no words in that? And it said like Jessica. And you're like, yeah, that's a good song. ChatGPT could then say like, would you like to listen to that song? And you just say yes. And all of a sudden that song just appears. That's the kind of disruption this SDK allows. It's not the standard software development kit that we have seen, for decades in the past, where you build new apps and you build out features based on some foundational technology. Here, what you're doing is embedding your app seamlessly inside ChatGPT. Is this going to make everyone happy? I don't know, right? Because basically, if you're Zillow or if you're Spotify or something, you're giving up a lot of control of your app because your app just suddenly is part of a broader ecosystem. But on the other hand, if a lot of developers go for this and you don't, you could easily be left to the side. The vision that OpenAI is putting forth here is that you no longer need a browser or an app browser or anything like that. ChatGPT just becomes the interface and the operating system that you as the user interface with, And if that becomes true, then you as a developer, you have to develop your app to work within that environment, because otherwise you'll be left behind. Nobody will use you anymore. So what this does is it flips the old internet on its head. You used to go to apps, and now apps come to you instead. ChatGPT is the context engine. The browser, the OS, and the search bar just collapsed into one conversation instead of all over the internet inside of a web browser or inside of multiple applications. It's much more seamless if it works. So what are some of the implications of OpenAI's SDK? Well, number one, web navigation dies, and that's a big threat to Google. App stores become obsolete, and that's of course a huge threat to Apple and to Google as well. And OpenAI becomes the central hub for the digital life. They become the operating system, and their large language model, ChatGPT, becomes the arbiter of what apps you interface with. If I were any developer, and I actually am, it's a pretty terrifying thought. It means you either play with them or you get left behind. Again, assuming that this vision actually comes to pass. The second huge OpenAI announcement was AgentKit and drag and drop agents. So what is AgentKit? It's a drag and drop AI builder. You can build agents without having to do coding. Again, if this works right, I haven't had a chance to use it yet. So all of this is their vision and what they're setting forth. Is it going to work as seamlessly as they say? Probably not. Is it going to work well enough? That's the multiple trillion dollar question. Anyway, the AI builder is like a visual canvas where you can connect logic blocks, APIs, and tools. If you've ever used a noodle-based type of application where you have something over here and something over here, and you create a noodle that connects between those two things, and you tell it what sort of data you want to go back and forth, that's the kind of thing we're talking about with AgentKit. So it takes the programming in and it buries it, which means you don't have to be nearly as technical as you used to be able to create agentic AI tools. So the goal here is that you define a task, you set some rules, you build these job agents by sort of drag and dropping them, and then they just do the work for you. They become this agentic system that just works for you, no coding necessary. And what that means is that anyone can build complex workflows in minutes without having to have technical skills. And if this works properly, it means that far from searching around and trying to code up a tool on your own, you can just use AgentKit to build even a one-off thing, because it takes so little time for you to build it that you might as well just build it and have it run for you rather than go hunt around the internet and try to figure the stuff out on your own. And that is also very disruptive. And if you think this isn't mature yet, when they announced it, AgentKit has versioning, testing, and publishing built in. So that means that they are really thinking about this as a platform, not just a product. And the implication is that this makes ChatGPT not just a product, right, like I said, but a platform. Developers and even non-developers can now create living autonomous software that runs inside ChatGPT's ecosystem, and they can do it, basically instantly. They don't have to wait around for developers to do things, and they don't have to have the coding skills or the technical skill. They just have to be able to define what the problem is and build the agent and let the agent figure out the answer. So if you think about these two announcements together, you get apps that live in ChatGPT and agents live in ChatGPT. So what that means is that we're watching OpenAI turn itself into the universal operating system of the internet. Now moving on to the third of 5 major disruptive announcements is the always-on device that Johnny Ive of Apple fame is co-designing with OpenAI. Now, this one hasn't been officially announced, but from what we know, it's a tiny pin-sized device. It's always listening, there's no wake word, and it's designed to be your constant companion, basically always aware, always ready, and always happy to, contribute to the conversation, answer questions, or whatever you need. Again, we don't have anything official, but it sounds like the launch has been delayed due to compute constraints, possibly on the pin itself, but definitely in the cloud where the heavy lifting is being done. But reportedly, it's in internal testing, and the goal is to give you an AI presence that's always available, proactive, and personal. And while this does sound pretty amazing, I would pump the brakes on this just a little bit. I think that there is a huge flaw, and that is that it's voice only. That is a massive problem in my mind. There are times when talking to a computer is perfectly fine, like right now I'm basically recording myself in my basement, right, talking to a computer, and that's fine, but I'm not going to want to walk down the street and have to talk to something all the time, and even worse than that, have to listen to it reply to me, that's not an ideal way to get information. Like, what if I said, hey, can you make me a spreadsheet of the cost of all of the Tesla Model S models that have come out over the past, 15 years or so? If I asked an audio-only device to do that, it's going to have to tell me the answer back one thing at a time. That is not ideal at all. I would much rather see a picture, like a table. And even worse would be if I said, hey, draw me a picture of an eagle flying through a redwood forest or something, right? For whatever reason, that's what I want. Well, it could do that internally, but it can't show that to me. So I think that if they do go with an audio-only interface, I think that that is going to put a huge hamper on the capability of this device. So what I'm hoping is that some of these rumors are wrong and that we will have something more like glasses like this, where you will be able to at least optionally see what the answers are and hopefully be able to interact with the device without having to talk to it all the time. There's got to be a better way, even if it's things like gestures or something like that. Meta has been looking into this as well. They're doing things like where you're typing with your fingers on your knee or on your hand or something like that, and it's able to recognize what you're trying to type out so that you're able to interface when you need to without talking. So Johnny Ive and OpenAI are hopefully taking a look at this, and they're going to produce something that's significantly better than the Humane pin, which was a pretty big disaster. Not entirely because it was audio only, but that was a big part of the problem. So I think that if OpenAI goes an audio only route, that this is going to be kind of a disaster. But if they figure out a better user interface, and especially if they can figure out how to have this thing be always on, always listening, yeah, that's kind of scary that it's just sitting there listening to you all the time. But that will create that sort of companion, that thing that's always there. If you go back to the movie Her, where everybody just had like the little earplug and their AI was listening to them, yes, it was an audio only interface, so I don't think that's the right way to go. But that kind of reality could be with us very, very soon. So this third idea from OpenAI is very revolutionary, an ambient AI presence that lives with you, but if it stays voice only, I really don't believe it's ever going to replace the phone. Until OpenAI and Johnny Ive crack the multimodal interaction problem, the always-on dream remains just that for now, just a dream. All right, on to the fourth pillar of OpenAI's disruptive vision, that is codecs and back-end automation. Yeah, this has been around for just a little while longer, but codecs is pretty amazing, and the updates they talked about last week were even more amazing. So Codex now powers backend automation for apps and agents, and it does it pretty much automatically. It can generate, fix, and deploy backend code automatically. It integrates with GitHub automatically. And of course, GitHub is the standard for how industry deployments are done. And then even better for OpenAI, Codex now connects directly to AgentKit and the software development kit, or the SDK, which enables you to self-build workflows. For example, imagine dragging in a quote customer support agent block. Codex generates the code, connects it to your CRM, sets up the database, and deploys the workflow, all without a single human engineer. And that means that OpenAI has just automated the internet's plumbing. The AI doesn't just run apps, it actually builds them. And now on to the fifth and final leg of OpenAI's vision, and I've talked about this in a previous video. If you haven't seen that, definitely check it out up here. That is, of course, Sora 2, which is the content layer, but also the social media layer. So when we saw Sora 1, when we saw example videos of that, which was quite a while before we actually had access to it as consumers, what we saw was amazing, right? You would type in something like a dog playing in the snow, and you would see a video that was, okay, but it was pretty darn good. It was something that was amazing to see, but it was just a tool at that point. And everybody else, including XAI and their Grok Imagine, and Google and VO3, and lots of other folks, have followed suit and created a tool that creates video. But Sora 2, when OpenAI announced that, it's not just a tool, it's a platform. Users can create, share, and remix AI videos directly within Sora. So it's social, it's generative, and it's collaborative. So it's like TikTok, but with AI creativity at its core. Sora 2 redefines what content even is. It's no longer something we consume, it's something that we co-create and share. Every conversation becomes a scene, every reply can just become a remix instead. It's the birth of AI native storytelling. So while ChatGPT and its tools redefine logic and tools, Sora redefines experience and expression. And together they form the foundation of this new internet that I was talking about. Conversational, creative, generative, and really for an audience of one. So those are the 5 pieces of OpenAI OpenAI's vision, let's zoom out and take a look at this from, 30,000 feet. The app's SDK is actively trying to replace browsers and app stores. The agent kit replaces developers. The always-on device replaces your phone. Codex replaces back-end infrastructure, and Sora 2 replaces social and creative platforms. And this is all wrapped up in one package that just seamlessly works for you, if all of this stuff works, of course. So what this shows me is that OpenAI isn't just making tools, they're quietly rebuilding every layer of the internet: the interface, the content, the apps, the hardware, and the economy that ties it all together. So think about this. Apple's walled garden becomes irrelevant when the interface is the conversation. Google search collapses when you don't need to search, you just ask. YouTube and TikTok lose their moat when anyone can generate world-class content instantly. And does that scare me? Well, yeah, it kind of does. But if you really zoom out and look at this from above, it isn't just about the death of the old internet, it's about disruption and the evolution of communication itself. In the last 100+ years of human development, we've moved thus far through two great phases of human media. First was broadcast, one message to millions: TV, radio, newspapers, etc. Then came narrowcast, the internet, social media, and algorithms that could target smaller audiences. But now we're looking at a third phase of social media. We're entering the unicast phase. Every message, every video, every piece of content generated uniquely for you, an audience of one. So this is a hyper-personalized reality. Every experience is tailored to your interests, emotions, and habits. It's convenient, it's powerful, it's always on, and yeah, it's very, very dangerous, because it means no two people will ever see the same internet again, and even the basis of facts, like what do we all agree on, even that can become highly problematic. Does this have massive and world-changing commercial and political potential? Yeah, it definitely does. It also has massive ethical consequences. A unicast world would fragment our shared experience, turn communication into simulation, and raise questions about, just truth itself, and of course, authenticity and control. But if history tells us anything, this shift is going to happen whether we want it to or not. Technology always evolves fast and first, and unfortunately, the hard and necessary questions always come later. So what do you all think? Is OpenAI building the future of the internet or ending it? Alrighty, folks, that's what I've got for you today. Let me know in the comments what you think about all of this. It's a lot to think about, believe me. While you're down there, if you don't mind liking the video, it really helps out. And of course, consider subscribing for more of this kind of content. And finally, a big thanks to Outskill for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to pick up your free ticket to AI Mastermind this coming weekend, and I'll see you there and in the next video. Bye-bye.